The line in 3, 2, 1, go!
Coming into qualification match number 10, we see 5 out of the 6 robots alive. We see Team 2064, the Panther Project, heading over to their coral processor, trying to see how much coral they can grab and bring over to their reef zone. Meanwhile, over on the blue lines, we see Team 78 Airstrike bringing over some coral into the reef zone. Now going into the teleoperated period, 10-2-52, removing a piece of algae over from the player station. 2064 also removing some coral from the reef zone here. 6620 Voltage Vikings heading over to their coral processor, trying to see if they can grab some coral out of their processor to bring over to the reef zone potentially. Meanwhile, 78 Airstrike bringing up some coral onto their reef zone. Meanwhile, back over on the battle lines, we see Team 10-2-52 knocking over some algae, we'll see where they bring that algae back in a second. Meanwhile, their alliance runner Team 811 Cardinals having a piece of coral, trying to see if they're going to place it up over onto the high reef zone, but we will come right back to that. 78 Airstrike having a piece of coral, bringing it up onto the high zone in the reef zone. 811 having a piece of coral in their possession, trying to see if they can place it up on the high level. Instead goes in the low level. 2064 also having a coral in their possession, placing it up over onto the low level here. 6620 trying to see what they're going to do with that coral. Meanwhile, their alliance runner Team 5494 hanging out in between the reef zone and the processor of the Blue Alliance side. With just a minute remaining, anything can still happen. 2064 having a piece of coral in their possession, trying to see if they can bring it over into the lower level of the reef zone. Meanwhile, we see from the Blue Alliance side over in the processor that we see another piece of algae heading into the net zone. 40 seconds remaining. 78 Airstrike hanging out right by the reef zone. 6620 hanging out under the barge with their alliance runner Team 5494. Meanwhile, over on the Red Alliance side, Team 811 Cardinals having a piece of coral, placing it up onto the high zone. 10-2-52 and 2064 hanging out right under their barge. That sound does mean there's 20 seconds left. Official gameplay here. 78 Airstrike heading for the barge as well. 2064 climbing up onto the cage. 811 trying to see if they can bring some more coral onto the reef zone. It looks like they're going for the high zone. The entire Blue Alliance hanging out by the barge. We see 1, 2, 3, 4 robots ascending as time expires. We'll have an official score for you here in just a moment. With the score of 153-90, setting the event high score of the day thus far, and walking away with 5 ranking points towards the Red Alliance.